Guys, welcome back to JR14, and here we are with another video for you guys, and we're going back to the old school stuff, DIY videos. But as you can see, it's clearly not Project Mark 7. If you don't remember this red S5, this is the same S5 that was actually on my YouTube channel that I reviewed a few videos ago. If you have not checked that video out, please click in the upper, well, this will be your right. This is my right, but that'll be your right on the screen. So click in the upper right hand corner of the screen to check that review out. If you guys looked at that review at the end of the video, I did talk about me doing modifications to this car, and this will be a car that you will see on the channel a lot more often. And starting today, because we are starting the modifications with this 2013 B8.5 S5, starting off with a boost digital gauge, vent gauge from P3 Gauges. So without further ado, let's get started with the install. All right, so the first things first, we're actually going to start by removing the trim. You're not going to remove the vent out first. On the S5, you actually remove the trim piece out. So there's these prongs that pop out along with the trim. There is one here. There is one here, and there's like two more up here. So all you have to do, I recommend getting these. You can get them from Amazon, eBay. These plastic pry tools, do not use a flathead metal screwdriver or any of your plastic trims, because you will break them or you will actually cause indentions, ruining the finishes, and you really don't want to do that. And shout out to Eric with this wrap. You'll be seeing this on Project Mark 7 soon, so this is actually pretty cool. So we already went ahead and did that. So all right, so a bunch of stuff is going to fall apart. So this is the trim piece itself. We're actually going to be removing that. This is the trim bezel that goes along with the vent right here. So now, if my mind serves me right, if this is anything similar to my Volkswagen, then you should just be able to, I think you should just be able to bend this down and pull out. All right, so when you're taking this apart, it's going to seem like it doesn't want to come out. There's like these two plastic tabs that prong into it. On the GTI, they have metal tabs on the top, but you just wiggle it free from the top, and then you break free from the bottom like I did here. So it looks like this actually is connected to something. So I'm trying to see if I can reach the plug. So right down here, underneath here, you see this plug right here? So you just push this tab up. Most Volkswagen and Audis are the same. This is actually interesting. So this is my first time doing this, obviously, but I'm sure, like, if you ever done it, like if you look at my previous video, if you have not seen that video where I install this vent in my GTI, click in the upper right hand corner of the screen. But on an Audi, there's a connector here, and so on the Audis, I'm sure this is probably most likely, since this is the same platform, it's going to apply to a B8.5 S4 and S5. There is a connector in here. So there's these two prongs in here that this sits into. So what I did was just like tilt it sideways, pull the whole thing out, and then you push this little tab and you slide out from this connector like that, and then you get the vent free. So that's pretty much the hard part. So now we need to take this vent out and we need to disassemble it. So as you guys can see here, the vent has left and right movement as well as up and down movement. Now on a P3 gauge, normally it's usually the first two slots that we're going to be removing, but there's a bunch of channels in here that these connect with. So in the back here, as you can see, this is your flap that works along with your air control to see if you want to block off the air altogether or not. So it's going to be a lot of disassembly pieces here that we have to be careful with while doing this. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, I recommend looking at a video from ShopDap. Shout out to Deutsch Auto Parts. They make a really good install video on this on the S4, but we're going to take this apart. And also that video that I just mentioned from ShopDap, I'm going to put that in the description down below. So if there's something that I didn't cover here, you can check out Paul's video. He definitely gets the nitty gritty on taking this apart and installing it. So we're going to move over to the table, and we're going to assemble the new gauge in. So cool. So now we have the vent, we have the gauge here. Now the way that you take this out, and it's going to be a little confusing when you see Paul's video, because Paul just wants to show everything for demonstration purposes of how this vent is assembled. But for this video, we're actually just trying to install the gauge. The gauge is here, and it's actually going to sit on the bottom of this tab right here. So to take these tabs out, they're very easy to take out. You go to the right side of the gauge, and you just pull up and slide forward and slide them out. That's one. And then you have another one here that slides out. And take that one out. That one's a little bit more. There you go. Almost out. There we go. Okay. So there's this arm that's going to come out with it, right? So again, We're not gonna need this because usually with this gauge, you can still have the up and down function of the two flaps, and you pretty much still have the functionality here. So, mind you, so your gauge is gonna sit like this. Your wire is gonna be running on the left side of the gauge. So relatively what you wanna do is you wanna run it through the edge right here, and it's gonna sit on this edge right here. So what we're gonna do is make sure that your buttons are facing up, and that's how you're gonna know you're gonna snake it through. So, all right, so we're gonna run the cable right in here. So if my finger can fit in here, this cable will be more than enough space. So you'll be able to push this through like so. All right, and like that. Okay, and basically this is how you want it. So again, you're gonna slide these two in the hole. That's what she said. Like that. Pop the other two in. Nope, we're not in yet. And we're in. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Great. So now we have the wire. We could still have the flap work like so. So for instance, this is going to be neater once it's all back in the car, but your flap still works just the same. Like I said, it's rubber, so that's how it's going to be. It's not going to kink. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to have any interruptions or anything like that. You still have your airflow up here like this. You have no more up and down, obviously, because the gauge is blocking it, but that's perfectly normal. But you still have airflow from side to side, which is a really good feature to have, and you should be good after here. We're not going to peel off the plastic just yet because of the fact that we want to make sure that we do that last when everything is in, so nothing gets scratched up or anything like that. So this is good now. We're good. Make sure you put these in a safe place. You don't have to install this arm back. We found that you don't really have to use it. Just make sure you don't lose these. So we will be putting these back in the original box, and you won't need them. One cool note, these aren't plastic. These are metal. That's actually a really cool point that I don't know if they're metal or not. It's hard to bend. It's not a point of the video, but I just noticed little stuff like that goes into like, yeah, these are metal. Wow. Okay. All right, Audi. Couldn't get the Volkswagen no metal flaps though. It's fine. I understand. I get it. That's not a 4-ring car. I get it. I understand. All right, so let's put this back in the car. Be careful. All right, so now that's pretty much the hardest part of this. Now everything else is pretty much just assembling everything back in. So I'm gonna put these in a box first before doing anything else, because I don't want to be responsible for losing Eric's stuff. So I'm gonna put that in there. And again, I didn't even tell you this, but it gives you, we're going to go through all this testing before installation, installing your gauge, operational, and everything else. So actually, that's a good point. I'm glad I read this. Testing before installation. So what I'm going to do is that basically I'm just going to plug everything up really quickly, naked out of its place before I go through the process of snaking everything, mounting everything, and this doesn't work. Which it should work. I mean, it's P3 and their quality is amazing, so it should definitely work. So with this, it's basically pretty easy. On this car, it sucks because the OBD2 port is all the way down here. There it is. Hang on. Yep, it's this way. Okay, got that. And there's a couple of wires that need to be connected. So the control box, which you put where? All right. So this gets plugged into here, like this, like that, and then this old-fashioned dial-up cable. We've come a long way since we were kids. And you plug this in here, like that. So now when I start the car, it should work just fine. Again, we're in a garage, so we could just put in no, we have to start the car, remember that. Yep. So it did the little dot thing right there, which means that system is ready.
If you just put it on zero?
No, it won't read. Will it? No. So for these parameters to read, it's something. Okay, I know. I hate that Audi channel. Here we go. Ah, there we go. So the initial is probably just the first boot up. So, you know, you have your boost. I'm not going to go through all the functions now, but I just want to make sure that everything is reading.
Boost. Good.
You are horrible. So that's RPMs. So if you want this whole thing to blink at a certain amount of RPMs, so every time you have to shift, I really hope that doesn't smell.
It's exhaust fumes.
Right. That's interesting. So that's a new feature I've never seen before. EGT, exhaust gas temperature, coolant temperature, ignition timing, throttle, percentage of throttle, AFR, oil temperature. That's no. What is that? Oil. I'm curious what that is actually. And then 0 to 60, so you can come to a stop. We do the launch control, and then as soon as the car moves, this will start counting and show you the 0 to 60 times. Stay tuned later. Stay tuned later when we set that up, because that's going to be pretty interesting when we have a little fun with that. And boost. So, all right. So we're going to shut the car off now. We know that everything works. It'll stay on for a second, and then it shuts off with the car. At least it should. Today. There we go. All right, cool. All right, so first things first, we're gonna, since we got our gauge all set up, nice and neat, we know that it's secure in place. You slide on these prongs right here, you clip it into these prongs right here, and it will stay in place. Now, you run the wire through like I said before. Now you're gonna take that wire, you're gonna snake it from the vent, where the vent would go, and you snake it down. You're not gonna have these wires. This is for a radar detector, so you're not gonna have these wires. So just snake that down like that, and we're gonna pop this gauge back in place. So make sure you connect everything back. Boom. Come on. Okay. Tuck this back in here like so, like that. And the gauge is gonna go back to its natural habitat. All right. So. Okay, so just make sure it's in the right places here. Yeah, these were the prongs I'm talking about. So these actually push up against here, so. Okay, and perfect. So the gauge, the vent, it's all back in place. Everything's neat. Now, for this, there is a little button in this hole in the fuse box. This is the whole fuse box on the driver's side. This actually is like slips outside here into this metal bracket, which is a part of the chassis of the car. Well, it's part of the dashboard, structural part of the dashboard. You push that in, and then this will come loose. You tilt this way, and you push in. So pretty much now you can kind of angle this away. It gives you much more free space to tuck all the rest of your wires in, including this box right here, which we're gonna either try to mount. I don't even think we're gonna mount it anywhere. I mean, maybe we will. Oh no, we'll figure it out. Let me not lose it. Let me not get this in here and lose it. So pretty much after that, after we set up everything for the OBD2 port stuff, you're gonna have to. Well, we can actually snake it through here and run it up on the side here, so it won't be in the way of anything. And then after that, it's pretty much it. So remind you, in the video, there's key points in Paul's video, like this fuse box out of the way. It needs to be moved out of the way to make some space in here. And then once you move that out of the way, you have a lot of space. So then the next thing, like I said, we're gonna take this. This goes in your OBD2 port. This will always stay in your OBD2 port. And then we're going to run everything on top. So I like to plug everything in first. So back under here again. Okay. That's freaking far. Is it in there? Yeah. Tuck it sideways. Like that. And then like that. Then you plug this end to this. So remember the tab up top. I mean, I'm putting it on the bottom, but you know the idea. It only goes in one way. Plugs in like that. That's pretty much it. This is for additional analog if you want to run it. And I actually will confirm that with you right now. Let me just make sure. So these three are for analogs. So you have a ground and you have two analogs that you can run. So for instance, an ethanol sensor or anything like that if you wanted to run it. And this is actually for a official boost tap. So if you check out that video when I installed my P3 gauge, I actually have an actual boost tap drilled into my manifold and ran through air to a sensor that plugs into this, and it reads the actual air. It's not going to do that as of now. The ECU has its own parameters of what boost level it's pushing right now, or the boost level to show or display through the OBD2 port. So that's all we're using today. So right now, pretty much we're just going to tuck everything in. You can make everything neat. We're definitely going to zip tie everything and then put everything back in its place and button everything back up, and then we'll be done. All right, so this is everything back together. We have the box sandwiched in between the fuse box and the actual frame of the dashboard. The metal piece with the dashboard is bolted, so that's not going anywhere. The OBD2 cables are ran obviously from the OBD2 port, which is all the way in here. I just tucked it on the side like that for now. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to go anywhere. And it's behind this bracket, which we actually clip back in the fuse box. So this physically cannot come out. So that's perfect. So we're just want to make sure that this is all in here, which it is, no problems. And that stays tucked behind the trim, because when we clip everything in, where's that piece? All right, so we'll go ahead, just clip this back in place. Take your time, see if there's a lip first. I learned it the hard way in my GTI that there is a lip, so. All right, that's in place. And now for, I hope it's not that difficult like it was on my GTI. My GTI, putting this vent back in was a pain because there was only a specific way you had to do it. You actually had, on the GTI, you actually had to clip.
You want me to do it?
No.
It's real technical. Right there.
Just like that. No, wait. Okay. Put the trim piece back in. And there's these arms. Okay. Okay. Now it's in my lap. All right, start from the top. All right, so he's gonna. I got you with the light. It's all right. It's raining today, which is very unfortunate. But and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and she's back in. And Eric, I'll let you do the honors of peeling off the plastic. That dramatic. Boost, you got all the features here. Speed, how fast you're going. Battery voltage. RPM shift light, which we'll set later on. Calculated air. EGTs. Coolant temperature. Ignition timing. Throttle. Yeah, far. So there's a lot of features in here. I still don't know what that oil is. I gotta look that one up, because that one I didn't have before. 0 to 60. And then back to boost. And that's it. Again, love these. Love these because it's really flush. Like let's say if you look from here, really follows along with the dash. The red accents match the red car, and all the red inside the car as well. Excuse the mess, but yeah. So guys, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to JR14. You guys always remember that cars are a lifestyle.